Hello, everyone. Can you all hear and see the illusion? If you can hear the illusion, it's not entirely illusion. So, which will hold you there for a little while. Usually, illusion don't last very long. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone. We are here. Today is 13th of September, a week during which we have lost a queen and have gained a king, so we are not too bad. I thought losing the queen was the end of it, but I don't know, you gained the king, so it's not... So the world has seen a great new chapter, but it seems the chapter is still continued a similar way in the world of the Britons and influence of each country had a huge last so many countries become Commonwealth countries, which we are part of. And I think our topic is really Commonwealth. Buddha nature is real Commonwealth. Chinor, in Tibetan we call Chinor. Chinor means Chi means everyone's, Nor means wealth, everyone's wealth. So Buddha nature is everyone's wealth, and as long as they know how to mine it. So you have been very diligent with this class, and we are at this 7th of the 7 Vajra points. So let's do the normal thing, that is doing our refuge, which makes even more and more validated by these teachings how important refuge is, but how important it is to take refuge in the valid refuge object. That's the triple gem. And so particularly if we have convened and conceived bodhicitta, and when you have conceived bodhicitta, you are pregnant. You are pregnant to give birth to the child of the Buddha in you. And so, how well we will look after the pregnancy and then give birth to the Buddha child. And so we are looking at the example of the activities of such enlightened qualities through these activities. So our refuge in the Triple Gem, we renew it by saying, but at the same time we think of all the people in the world and sentient beings that are not in refuge but all in trouble and still running and never found a real refuge but going in circles. So think of them as we join our hands and take refuge, particularly those people who are immediate in your circle, who you could not entirely help as much as you want to, but still you really have this strong concern and worry, and think of them next to you, and therefore doing the refuge and the generation of bodhicitta for them. May the little benefit that we accrue from paying attention to these teachings and listening and being together and offering support to each other, these things have a lot of merit. Lots of merit means goodness, positive energy, positive effect. Merit shouldn't be mega esoteric thing. It should be just positive effect of the good deeds. And I'm sure you're witnessing the benefit of having a discipline at least once a week or whatever to study like this and to spend time with others and to listen through a text that is so celebrated in the Buddhist world, and not just have them put away in a bookshelf, but actually listen and think and then compare notes of one's own life and try to make a real sense of use and rejoice the very activities of Buddha that is making us part of it, very included. So with this in mind, let's do the refuge and prayers, everyone. Thank you. Join your hands at the heart. And the Buddha Dhamma Asanga, I refuge and Lord by virtue of Yevandala, I shall Buddha Wadu and the Buddha Dhamma Asanga, I future Lord by virtue of Yevandala, I shall Buddha Wadu and the Buddha Dhamma Asanga, I future and Lord by virtue of Yevandala, I shall Buddha Wadu beings. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion to those never. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion to those never. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion to those never. According to the intelligence and predisposition of it, where the attendant dharma agrelo and come goals. So Buddha that actually has a function. So activity means function, the function of the enlightened one's qualities. Yeah. So the function is what makes influence to others, and it said there are two qualities: that is spontaneous and uninterrupted. those who actually are audience to the enlightened activities, they will experience the spontaneous and uninterrupted activities, enlightened activities that has a change, that has a tool that changes you in the way that these 9 analogies are trying to explain. So of the 9 analogies, we have covered the first 2. That is the manifesting, the Rupakaya manifesting like the Indra, and the second one was this teaching of the drum sound of the Dharma through the speech of the Buddha. So those 2 analogies we covered already up to verse number 230. I think that's where we stopped. Sorry, 320. Other way around. So 320. Now we are starting today with the third example. So we talked about the Buddha's body is like the Rupakaya, is like that of Indra. Buddha's speech is like the divine drum. And now we look at Buddha's mind is like universal clouds, like universal clouds. So verse number 321 goes to talk about how the enlightened activities of Buddha's mind is so pervasive. So pervasive, universal means pervasive, like the big rain, big rain, that whole area, maybe like this year we had almost like 90% of Australia all covered in rains, almost, that sort of thing. So the rain of the Buddha enlightened mind of the Buddha is so pervasive, like clouds so big, it just completely covers. So therefore, this analogy of the Buddha's mind being universal. So that's why we say Chukun Namkashindu Yermiya. The Dharmakaya mind is all pervasive, like the sky. So there is not a place there the mind qualities, enlightened quality of mind, Buddha's mind is not operative. It is always active, spontaneous, and constant. It just question is whether we are receptive to it or not. So to be receptive to the Buddha activities, we are joining our hands and giving our time, listening to the teaching, reading them, meditating on them, believing in them. This actually makes ourselves much more, I would say, worthy and receptive to the very reign of the Buddha Dharma. So this has 4 subdivisions. First is how the Buddha mind ripens other sentient beings by its causing of the rain. And second is how it tailors according to the different levels of aptitude and interest of the devotees. And the third is how the Buddha does not discriminate between those who help or harm to him, but he because it just universally that when the rain comes everywhere. It doesn't say that if it rains on a very fertile ground, the green will grow, but it rains on the rock, not much, so no difference. It doesn't discriminate, saying I'm not going to rain on the rocks. Who knows? Rocks doesn't appreciate. I'm sure that some of the rocks look very sad, but having a rain a couple of days looks pretty. So that's the third one. Fourth one is how Buddha's enlightened mind, that is like the downpour, pacifies the sorrow of sentient beings. So, our meditation is if you find your suffering and sorrow of life are being washed, bringing peace in your life, it's because of this. So, of this first one we'll go over the first one, which is how it ripens the mind stream of the trainees. So, this has 2 parts. First is the intrinsic nature of the trainee's mind, and then the second is the actual cause of it. So we have this. First is the first two verses goes to explain the nature of it. So it says the rainy season's clouds continuously and effortlessly downpour vast amounts of water onto the earth and are the cause of good and bountiful crops. So this is the analogy. When the farmers have no rain, they no matter what they did, it's no use. But when there is a sufficient rain during the rainy season, because of to have rain, it has to have a lot of clouds. The clouds represent compassion of the Buddha, because without the compassion, the rain, it doesn't benefit. Buddha's compassion, like a cloud, then gathers causes a condition, then produces the rain, and then makes all the crops of the farmers, effortlessly, effortlessly. The farmers did lots of things, but the rain did amazing, effortlessly, It was doomed. If it was going to be doomed if it didn't rain, but when the rain came, it effortlessly, everything completely changed. Like that, the compassion of Buddha's, the cloud-like compassion of Buddha's enlightened activities causes the very sacred, holy, sacred Dharma to pour upon sentient beings, and so whether it is, we usually say, please turn the wheel of Dharma. Sometimes we say, please pour the rain of wisdom to wash our dirt of suffering, So when people listen, people read, people watch teachings of His Holiness Dalai Lama and any great teachers, when you really listen properly and sit there, you will see how many of those teachings are directly hitting on the nail of your lives, how many of your sufferings that previously was completely unaddressed are completely being washed. So therefore, and you will have a bountiful result, because as a result of listening to the teaching, something shifted in you in a way that you previously didn't succeed to do, even by talking to a counselor for months and months, but still no shift, no shift. They were just making you feel that you are a little bit of a poor thing, like as if you have been done badly treated or something. They don't empower you as much, But the Dharma teachings, if the counselors have Dharma teachings, amazing, and then I think every counselor should learn Dharma, and without teaching Dharma, but doing the thing, and then it will really shift them. That's what it says. Makes people become bountiful result. They will have a really good session. They go, oh, we had a good session, What does it mean? You believe you've been abused. You've been sort of badly treated, and they help you to prove that you were. That's not really. But we have to realize it's the exact opposite. We have to wash those dirt from this heavy downpour. Why the analogy of heavy downpour used to that effortlessly wash away, and then everybody become rewarded with a bountiful harvest. So that's the Buddha mind. That's why we say we pay homage to the Buddha. We prostrate to the Buddha's body, whether there's image or not. We still think of the Buddha's mind. That's more important than the statue size and the jadeness of it. Because some people bow down to the statues because it's made out of jade. Come on, Even if the statue is made out of fiberglass, or still you pay homage to that because it's the mind of the Buddha, the enlightened mind of the Buddha that empowers us. The enlightened mind of the Buddha that is the wisdom being is in the statue. They consecrate. They make a lot of effort to consecrate the statue, to put the mantras, to those statue construction is no ordinary job. These are very highly special specialized area. They say you don't make just outer form of the statue, but you need to fill the statue with all the mantras, then consecrate them, and then invoke the wisdom beings, and then almost animate the statues. So otherwise, the statue is just a body of the car without the engine. Okay, so what we're talking tonight is the engine, the mind of the Buddha, is the enlightened mind of the Buddha that actually when we expose to it, then we will find a lot of bountiful harvests reaping when you are studying, when you're listening, when you're meditating, when you're doing your sadhana, not just doing daily sadhana, but just try to listen to the heartfelt teachings of the Buddha coming through that. Then it will make your even your sadhana was very, very bountiful harvest. You know, you have an hour listening or reading a certain phrase of the sutra and then meditate on that. You realize it's not just the intellectual and rational, all this rationality. Oh gosh, I think I had enough of rationality. I need a bit of faith, I think. I think faith in the Buddha mind is more important than my dry kind of rational mind. Gosh. Enough of the rational mind. So many academics, very few believers. I mean, it's good on them, the academics, but it's even better if they believed in some of the things and have devotion and the heartfelt devotion. It's very, because quite a lot of academics die like donkeys. They learn the Dharma so well, but there's no sign. Someone who really practiced the Dharma a little bit from the heartfelt devotion to the Buddha, like we are talking about the amazing universal Dharmakaya mind of the Buddha. The Buddha's body is Rupakaya, Buddha's speech is the Sambhogakaya, Buddha's mind is Dharmakaya. Remember that. This is what we're talking about. Because remember, we spent a great deal talking about what the kayas are. And so the mind is the Dharmakaya, speech is the Sambhogakaya, and the body is a Nirmanakaya. And that is high. Very important for the Buddhist, Mahayana Buddhists to understand the statue or Buddha image represent these three qualities of the holy body, like the holy body, holy speech, holy mind, what we call three adamantines. Three adamantine Vajra. Body is Kaya Vajra. Adamantine speech is Vaka Vajra. Adamantine speech, mind is the what you call Chitta Vajra. So we're talking about Chitta Vajra here. The Buddha's universal mind, that which caused this rain to bring so much good crops in us. So just as likewise, the clouds of compassion without conceptualization, so this is without conceptualization, meaning, the clouds are moving, Clouds don't have mind. Clouds doesn't have mind where it will go. It's the force of the wind. If there is no wind, the clouds cannot cause rain, okay? So the wind blows the clouds, and because of that, it creates the roaring sound, what we call roaring 40s or roaring 80s. Anything will do. The sound is made by the very big force of the air blowing those clouds. So this is what it's talking about. The clouds of compassion without conceptualization, meaning the Buddha's compassion for the sentient beings is so huge, like clouds. It couldn't stay still one place. It has to move and it has to function for what to cause the rain. So without conceptualization, the enlightened activities of Buddha causes the rain down the waters of Victor's noble teachings. Yeah, so all the teachings of the Dharma are showered through the rain. How to practice patience, how to practice discipline, how to practice diligence, how to get rid of laziness. All of those teachings of the 6 paramitas and so on, 4 noble truths. All of these teachings are showered, and then it causes the harvest of virtue in sentient beings. Sentient beings themselves becomes what you call exposed to this amazing, powerful cloud that is moved by the wind, and then the shower of Dharma is constantly pouring on us. And so, what does that do? The explanation of that is, provided that the world is engaged in virtuous ways. So this is talking about that sentient beings. World means those in the samsara who are now heeding to the teachings, and who have prepare the soil, plow them, sow the seeds, put the fences, and did all of that. It doesn't really. If you haven't plowed, if you haven't done anything, the mere rain doesn't cause the crops. So one has to do so therefore, it's not the Buddha activity that liberate us. It's our own initiative. Our own initiative to provided that world is engaged in virtuous ways. Means world is themselves cultivating, that you are actually doing your meritorious practices, then when the power of the great compassion causes the rainfall, then it says there, then wind-borne clouds will bring down pour of rain. Yeah. And what does that do? And this causes to increase the qualities in you. Yeah. What is the qualities? Due to the great knowledge and compassion. So when you cultivate these meritorious qualities, the Buddha's compassion, wind causes the clouds to cascade the rain, and this increases the virtues in you, discipline, punctuality, consistency, duration, accuracy. All of these things, this knowledge will therefore, Buddha's qualities become, because the water is fallen Buddha's quality, we also become watered, and therefore many qualities are now stemming in us. It says, amidst the space unblemished by changing, and the changeless in the world means they are because the sky is the changeless. Yeah, sky doesn't need to change. Yeah, sky doesn't change. Sky doesn't need change. Sky doesn't need, it's changeless. But it is in that spacious sky where the clouds billow, and where the wind blow, and then cause the rain. And rain doesn't wet the sky. Wind doesn't change the sky. Sky doesn't need any rain. Rain is for the sake of those people who are on the earth. So the world is in the world is the water of immaculate essence. Yeah, immaculate essence refers to the great meditation. The qualities that you develop bodhicitta through the samadhi and dharani. Dharani means retention. Your retention of the merit, your retention of the virtue, your retention of the knowledge and qualities of the Buddha. So these three qualities of the bodhicitta and samadhi and the retention, these three qualities, which is the Lord of Sages' clouds that cause the harvest of the virtue. So what is the harvest that you're reaping? You have increasement of the retention of the, not just technical knowledge, but of your faith and devotion and benefit of bodhicitta and true refuge in the triple gem. And your meditations are not only happening as a chore, as a daily chore, but they become like an amazing, most beautiful thing to look forward each day is your practice. The other things you have to do just to keep the body, clean the toilet and mop the floor and all that. But main thing is not that. Main thing is your practice. And your practice is now really, really bountifully reaping the harvest, because the harvest of the virtue is your faith, your kindness, your wisdom, your understanding of emptiness, your understanding of bodhicitta, your understanding of diligence, your understanding of generosity are now really, 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 really scaling up. It's going up. And it's previously used to practice all of these, but they're really tainted by all this not again type of thing. Now they're all washed and cleansed, because you are really you are directly affected by the spontaneous, incessant, enlightened activity, by the rain downpour of the Buddha mind, as a result of you being able to expose. So this means that if you have been ripened in recent months, recent years, dharmically speaking, it's because of not anybody else. It's because of the Buddha mind, because the wisdom, dharmakaya of the Buddha. Other causes, condition will help, but it's mainly because of the enlightened mind of the Buddha. We are therefore only one. We are refuge in the triple gem and the qualities of Buddha. And if there wasn't the enlightened one in this world, you and I could not actually meet the Dharma. Simple as that. No matter how many times we'll meet in the park or meet on the Sundays and have a lunch together or do this for each other. But how many people say chores is like that? But the fact that we all have this amazing sense of light, joy to look forward to, these things is because because we are being ripened. We have changed. We are changing. We are experiencing growth. We're experiencing the value of selflessness. We're experiencing we've been stung by self-cherishing. We can see that. Previously we thought we were stung by other people's unskillful deeds, violence, aggression, greediness, and way they treat us. We used to think like that. But now, no, it's our own self-centeredness, lack of compassion, lack of wisdom has done this. So that's what this is the ripening is talking about. Ripening the trainees, Ripening means like it becomes edible. Now you're worthy of being somebody. You can now do something and it has a benefit to others because now you're ripened. Otherwise you're too raw. And barely worthy of dishing out. In whatever way. But now we are fully ripened. Mimpa, We are fully ripened by our deliberate exposure and joy and energy that we give to the Buddha Dharma, and particularly to this omniscient mind of Buddha's complete rain of wisdom showering on us, that all our dirt of poor meanness are being washed, and we become so much cleaner and changed because we have been able to have this, shower, running water in life, People have running water, but they don't have running Dharma in their life, Everybody got running water in the house, but no running water in the Dharma life, So we have to make sure our life has a running water at home. Running water at home. Now, due to the modern technology, we can say that. Not only I'm talking about for this kind of teaching, but yourself always have to put the tap on the Dharma. Put the tap on the Dharma and make yourself completely washed and clean and so on. You can see people taking so many showers every day. On again, and in the bath, spend hours in the shower, in the bath, still come out dirty as they went in. So this is the kind of Dharma rain we have to seek. So. Now we're going to move on to the next verse, which is the transformation of transformative to suit sentient beings. So how does the rain actually ripen and adaptably useful to each sentient being according to their level and intelligence? So now this uses the beautiful analogy of water here. What are the qualities of the water? So it says cool, delicious. I think we missed one of the word there. Cool, delicious, and sweet. Because I thought delicious will suffice for sweet, but I think delicious as well as sweet is different. So cool, delicious, sweet. And fourth one is soft, and fifth one is light. It only lists the 5 of the 8 qualities of water here. Water has many 8 qualities. Even in a conventional water engineer will tell you the transformative, the conductivity, and how water dissolves, the oxygen, the salinity, and turbidity, and various and alkalinity. There are many such water engineers who talk about the qualities of what good water is. But here we are talking about these 5 are listed here: cool, delicious, sweet, soft, and light water falling from the clouds. So now it is likening how does this water, not just a rain to wash the outer dirt, but the rain to drink. It's not. This is fit water to drink. Remember that. Fit water, rainwater is actually most safest to drink. Drink. Fallen from the clouds, transform into many tastes. Yeah, the water that falls from the Buddha Dharma, Buddha mind, transforms many people by coming into contact with salty grounds. So this means the sentient beings are like salty grounds. Salty ground. Salty ground, and maybe asbestos covered ground, maybe polluted ground, maybe a lot of places are dirty because they spill a lot of oil, and we wouldn't believe how many parts of the earth are dirty. Now, the rain of the Buddha Dharma has these many qualities. When it talks about the coolness of the water. Coolness of the water is not necessarily because, of course, it could be a quality you want a cold water to drink to quench the thirst in a hot day. But cool water, when you fall into the hot body, it straight away gives a relief from the treacherous, scorching heat. Samsara's life is scorching heat, and when people are under the tap water of the Dharma, they have ability to cool their neurosis. Shita labda. Shita means dewdrop. Dewdrop will give you attainment of cooling effect. Your life's heat has been cooled by the downpour of Dharma. Not only that, it has been delicious, Then your life is now good, You just eat a fairly bland food, but your life is delicious, You don't assess your life how expensive food you eat. You might eat just rice and lentils and some this funny food that people eat these days, simple food. But no, it's the real delicious food. Is the Dharma, is the meditation. Is the devotion, is the refuge, is the triple gem, is the bodhicitta. When you practice them, your life is delicious. Yeah, then your life is sweet. Otherwise, there's a lot of bitter sadness and sorrows and hurt and pain. But wait until you have Dharma. Then you have the Dharma. It gives you sweetness in it. And Dharma makes rough people soft. People who are loud becomes toned down. It makes the soft, and makes you become very light, the light water. And then, there are many other qualities of water. So that water that removes all the opposite of these 5 qualities, cool, delicious, sweet, soft, and light. Think of the opposite. These are the truth of sorrow and truth of origin of sorrow. And when you have the poor switch on the Dharma, the rain of Dharma will bring this cooling effect, transforming many tastes into many tastes. Your life then, previously your ground was just salty. That's it. Your life was salty. Your life was full of salt of suffering. Too much salt. Too much salty sufferings. Salt of suffering. And that because you put yourself under the rain of water, you change your flavor of life into many such things. Yeah? Many such things. Likewise, the water from the rain of the Eightfold Noble Path. Yeah, so that's why the Eightfold Noble Path is correlates with the 8 qualities of the water, the 5 which are listed. Has fallen from the heart of the clouds of great compassion. Yeah, so when the Buddha causes his Dharmakaya mind to cause the Dharma, the rain of Dharma will have these 8 delicious qualities of water. That's what Atisha said. When he came to Tibet, he was surprised how good the water in Tibet was. And in India, they got lots of flowers and a lot of colorful things. India, play with colors and make things a lot of flowers. And Tibetan says, we don't have flowers, Your Holiness. He says, you don't need to worry. Just pour the over the water. That's why I'm going to explain to you Tibetan tradition of putting 7 offering bowls, on the shrine and filling water every night was mainly championed by Atisha. Atisha was so impressed by the quality of water in Tibet, and he asked Tibetans to make water offerings and not worry about finding each of their relevant articles like flowers and incense and perfumes and all of that. He says, if you offer this water in 7 bowls, then the 7 will represent seven limbs, and the water will represent 8-fold paths. Come on, so that's the 8-fold path and 7 limbs, all covered, So if you pour the water each morning and with these qualities, then the Eightfold Path has fallen from the heart of the cloud, producing many flavors to suit sentient beings of various aptitude and predisposition. Yep. That's right. People who wanted to follow the mendicant's way, Theravadan method of exclusive monasticism, they will follow that. Others who might talk about the inclusive path methodology of Mahayana, they will practice bodhicitta. Transformative methodology of Vajrayana, they will practice Vajrayana. Some they practice by abandoning, renouncing something. Others, instead of renouncing, they actually befriend the object. Instead of seeing the object as an object of your kind of weakness, but you use, instead of objects of desire, you see them as objects of love and kindness and respect and care and tenderness. So Mahayana aptitude people practice the Dharma by not seeing the opposite gender or someone as a cause of danger of your life, but rather see them as your mothers or sisters or daughters or fathers or son, like that. So that's what we call inclusive model. Whereas Theravada teaching talks about saying you have to renounce the opposite. They cause temptation, and the nearer you are with them, the more danger they will be to you. So because of that, they emphasize renunciation, renunciation. But both of these teachings are not contradictory, They're not saying one says abandon, other says embrace, In the end, the Mahayana practitioners are renouncing selfishness. Theravada practitioners are renouncing the other as if that is the cause of selfishness. Eventually, Theravada practitioner will also know it is selfishness they have to eventually overcome, not renounce the other. But it's a little bit in a long road. It takes two months, I think. 2 months to get the point, So instead of renouncing selfishness, they're renouncing object. But then later on, they spend quite a bit of time in a cave. They realize they have to now tackle selfishness, So in the end, they're not contradictory, But people with a sharp faculty mind, they realize it's not the object that tempts you. It's your own illiteracy of your own affliction, because you don't know your affliction that makes someone something more desirable than they are. Then you see them as not an object of desire, but objects of your kindness and tenderness, compassion. So that's what the Mahayana is encouraging: renunciation, but renouncing selfishness. Theravada is encouraging renunciation, but temporarily renouncing the object, so that you can renounce the wrong subjective mind that is deluded. So you can see they are not contradictory. So that's what it's saying, producing many flavors to suit sentient beings of various aptitude. Quite a lot of people will follow that, agree with the first model, the exclusive model of saying out of sight, out of mind type of thing, and whereas Vajrayana methodology is totally different. On top of that, it is transformative model, I call. You rather, instead of is fleeing from it or making friend to it, you rather transform your perception into the Buddha, into the deities. So in the Vajrayana methodology is transformative model. So that's what it's referring to, producing many flavors to suit sentient beings of various aptitude and predisposition. So therefore, when the rain of the Dharma falls, when the rain of Dharma falls, then it's just like the rain washes away all the salty bit from the ground. If you look at some research people do, after rain, it produces a very strange smell, If you just go in the garden and have a smell after the rain, and some scientists really thought, what was it all about? The idea is all this salty surface has been washed by the rain, and of course it will produce another smell. Of course there will be so therefore it completely changes the flavor. Likewise, those who have heard the Dharma, listened to the Dharma, studied Dharma, it completely changed them. As if those who have, even the king Ashoka, such a ruthless, violent person who killed even his relatives and just for the sake of power and prestige and whatever, when he heard the Dharma, it really made him completely the salty person. All the terrible flavor that he used to have is now completely changed. Because he's been cooled of his neurosis. He has been completely softened from his roughness, from heaviness of his approach, his bitterness of his activities. All of them are now completely washed by the downpour of the rain or water. So this is talking about how the Dharma teachings transform people and suit the people according to their level of intelligence, whether they are following, as I said, Theravada, monasticism, or Mahayana altruism. In Tibetan Buddhism, Vajrayana Buddhism, we actually say that all these three, renunciation, bodhicitta, and the right view, are all three in integral part of the principle of the path. They are not with one, okay, not necessary with the other two. It's not like that. All of these three are integral part of the path. But when individuals are developing, at some stage of their practitioner's level, they need the renunciation first. Later on, they don't need to renounce the things so much. They have to renounce the grasping. The grasping that they got from being a very, very disciplined, and people respect you, people think you're great, and you think so, you love the respect better. Then they realize, they still haven't renounced anything. They're still attached to the respect. They're attached to respect, So this is and also people think the people should be respectable, They think the object should be really truly existing to respect, They don't realize attachment to someone who is so respected by others, and that other people also get attached to it, themselves get attached to it. It's neither here nor there. They have to go through develop bodhicitta and right view. Without that, no matter how much conventional renunciation you have, it's just a social etiquette. You try to attract approval of people so that you have a place in samsara, which is no effort at all. We get into samsara effortlessly again and again. So why we need another samsaric position? Another samsaric position to get attached to, as if we didn't have enough samsaric position to renounce. So that's really important, yeah? Here, talking about flavors to suit sentient beings of different levels of... I'm sure individuals like ourselves, we will say, oh, we used to be in those stages, oh, we try to be pure, try to be authentic, and try to be respected by the people. And when people respect us, we think that's great. But when people pull a sour face, we think that's terrible. That's not a practice. It hasn't started at all, So therefore, here we're talking about how does the reign of the Buddha Dharma transforms and washes the individuals to change their terrible flavors of attitude with which they practiced renunciation before. That's what Trungpa Gyaltsen says, that people who practice, for instance, self-discipline with attachment to the worldly dharma in these lives, respect and gain, they are neither here nor there. It's just a complete waste of effort. What's the point of doing things in order to attract respect from somebody to get attached to that? It's like being bound by the white rope as well as the black rope. Why we prefer to be bound by the white rope when we are bound still? But most people don't see that. But the teaching, people who have understanding of emptiness, that's talking about people who have aptitude and predisposition to understand emptiness, they are transformed more by emptiness teachings. Others in their life, they're transformed more by, no matter how much they like philosophically and intellectually emptiness, they realize emptiness without bodhicitta is a nihilistic, and so there is a danger of that. Then they actually reverse. They realize they need to have the relative bodhicitta, more importantly, practice in everyday life, in order to qualify their practice of emptiness, So then they realize, so by doing that, you have to renounce attachment to self. So therefore, renunciation of samsara and is one thing, but attachment to self is the samsara. You don't have to get rid of samsara. Samsara is pretty good. The lawns are beautiful, the mountains are beautiful, lakes are beautiful, cities are beautiful. You don't want to renounce those things. You want to renounce the samsaric self. Samsaric self that really need to be that really need to transform itself. Yeah. So now we move to next verse, which is the third point. Third point is how the Buddha's omniscient mind, universal mind, transforms sentient beings irrespective of help or harm. So this has those three verses, and those three verses mainly talks about variability of various vessels, so to speak, the suitable sentient beings, and then how to pacify how it pacify their sufferings. Okay, so those with the lucid faith. This is talking about the vessels, vessels. Those with the less lucid faith, the mediocre, and with aversion. So these are three types, Some people have amazing faith in the Dharma. Others are mediocre. Others have aversion to the object of faith. They no longer have faith. They're angry with the object of faith, Form three groups, three groups comparable to humans, peafowl, and hungry ghosts. Now, this text is so beautiful and full of analogies. Those three types of beings are analogously compared with human beings are considered to be those with lucid faith. Mediocres are peafowl, and those with aversive is hungry ghosts. This is an amazing analogy when you look at it. Because if people who have faith in those who have lucid faith means they have faith in the Mahayana teachings, these particular teachings of the teachings of bodhicitta and the Buddha nature. And the others are mediocre. Mediocre means neutral. Neither have lots of faith, nor have any aversion to it. So this is like peafowl. Peafowl is the kind of peafowl is the peafowl has beautiful feathers or whatever, but it can't fly. It can't fly. It can flutter a bit. Have you seen them fly? No, not really. Have a look at the peafowl. Meaning of peafowl. They don't manage to fly very much, but they're really, really beautiful. And the hungry ghosts are people who are really averse. They hate religion. They hate religion and they hate religious people. They just can't stand them. They can't stand. They say, "Here it goes again. Let's get out of here." So so these are three groups. Three groups. Interesting thing. Yeah, three groups are respectively correspond to those who have faith are human beings who have intelligence, who have other interests in life, but they really are enchanted by the Buddha nature and bodhicitta and emptiness, and of course other facets of the teaching. They really like every core of the Dharma is so amazing, and they find so much lucidity and clarity in their life and mind when they turn to the Dharma. And so that is the people, human beings, So this is talking about three types of sentient beings, yeah? So now it is human beings in the cloudless end of spring. So now it is explaining in the how does these three correspond? Is that when the end of spring refers to the end of spring where. Because end of spring is quite different from the summer. In the summer, maybe during the summer there was not much cloud, and people complain that there were no rain. Yeah, people complain there were no rain, and so they are slightly displeased. Yeah. Displeased. It is human beings in the cloudless end of spring. So that's if it is cloudless spring, yeah, because summer hasn't been full of cloud, and the spring is worse. So they become, rather deprived of the benefit of what may come from rain. The non-flying bird. In the summertime, the non-flying bird is what I was referring to. The peafowl. The peafowl doesn't. But peafowl is, of course, he always rely on the rainwater. So when there's no rainwater, the peafowl is miserable, and he's got no aptitude normally to fly anyway. He's got nothing to delight him because it never rained, So peafowls will be doomed, Flying birds in the summertime, and hungry ghosts when it rains. For the hungry ghosts, when it rains, in the hungry ghosts, even in the summer when it rains, it becomes hot stones falling on their body. Hungry ghosts do not see rain as rain, Hungry ghosts see everything desert. And even the rain becomes hot pebbles falling onto them. Hot pebbles falling onto them. Now, look at these three analogies. Then you will understand how the rain does not discriminate, but how different sentient beings' aptitude will respond differently. Hungry ghosts, for them, rain is no good news. It's just like a rain of hot pebbles. So that's what hungry ghosts when it rains, who suffer from all of these three suffers. All of these three sentient beings suffer. Depending on whether there is rain of Dharma or not, from the class of clouds of compassion, this example is applicable to worldly beings who either aspire or resent Dharma. Yep. Exactly. So reign of Dharma is there, but some people resent Dharma. Oh, you're going to the center again? Oh, you're going to do another one there for center again? People almost think that they had enough of you going to the center. I had that experience in my life. That's someone is not quite supportive of what you do, and of course they think you're doing too much Dharma or something. They almost have an aversion to you doing Dharma thing, and so there's like a hot pebble falling for them doing another Dharma. So sentient beings are responding to like that. But those who actually like Dharma, for them, when the rain of Dharma falls in their life, of course they have faith. They say, "Oh, so good I can do Dharma," So good I can do Dharma. So you could see that our even mind sometimes, we're really delighted with Dharma. Other times we really don't want to do, but we have to do. We're becoming p-foul again. So hopefully we do not demote ourselves to become hungry ghosts. So this is why this Asanga's text is so famous, because it's so rich with the analogies and understanding of animal life and bird psychology and not to mention human psychology. It's a lot of understanding, And then when I looked in the Tibetan text, it said charduchu, They said a bird that survives on rain. But that could be any bird, But that's, of course, a lot of creatures rely on the rainwater. But the fact that they couldn't fly is not every bird that relies on water. So peacock is so beautiful, so fantastic. But his beauty is hopeless because he can just flutter a bit, but that's about it. Particularly when there's no rain, his life is miserable, because he only drinks water from rain. The Sakya Pandita wrote in his elegant saying, "Chardu chu komnaya salapape chu mintung." This maybe it's peafowl or the bird. He says the rain bird will never drink water from rain that has fallen on the ground. He always drink the rain from the rain, directly from the rain. But he wouldn't go and drink from the pond or from the lake. He's got some dignity. He's got some dignity to drink water only from rain. So lots of these Buddhist scholars and texts have a lot of understanding of the animals and the nature and how sentient beings like that. So this verse number 327 is talking about. Here he says that it's a Sanskrit word called Chataka. Chataka is the name of the bird. Chataka is I think it's a rain bird that only drinks water from rain. Do you know any bird, particular bird that only drinks from rain directly? Quite a lot of them do, don't they? I should talk to an ornithologist. They will know. So it says that Chataka bird, because it doesn't get water, it couldn't get water from the rain, and suffers, and then it tried to imitate as other bird, like pheasants, and try to make sound, make bird calls that look like a pheasant. Pheasant also can't fly very much, So pheasant and peacocks are same, Chataka could not, doesn't have many good examples. Either the pheasant or peacocks, peafowls, and the Chataka bird is thirsty. He tried to make sound, but he couldn't make the sound anymore. So anyway, so here talking about the cluster of the clouds of compassion is that which causes the rainfall, and sentient beings are would not survive without the rain. Likewise, without the rain of the Dharma, people's life have a good reason to be miserable. But those people who have lucid faith in the Dharma, and they neither remain like a mediocre nor as a aversive to the Dharma, but they're delighted by Dharma. You can see, how are you today? I'm very happy because I got Dharma. It's good. If you practice Dharma, you have very good reason to be happy, because that's a really valid happiness. That comes from rejoicing the kindness of others, and lack of anger. That's a good cause of joy. These are real cause of joy, Lack of anger, lack of resentment, and contentment, and humility, and patience, and these are real cause of happiness. These are even if somebody does terrible things, you don't get angry at them because you have this amazing repellent. You have this repellent. You have this amazing remedy for that. Because of that, you're not miserable. Even if people, maybe for a few minutes you get a little upset, but otherwise you say, "What's the point of it? I got Dharma." Put on the Dharma. Bring on the Dharma, and that can rectify all the little miseries that you found so difficult to deal with it. So this is exactly why. You neither. You are now actually tuning to the Dharma. The deluge of coarse raindrops. Now this is exactly amazing explanation. The deluge of coarse raindrops, hurling hailstorms, or striking thunderbolts. Now this is coming to explain even more. From the cluster of clouds, disregard whether the creatures are small or there are insects that live in the crevices of the hills. So whether it is the coarse raindrops or hurling hailstorms, striking thunderbolts, they don't mind where it falls. Where it falls. Likewise, the clouds of perfect knowledge and compassion with very fine and large drops disregard whether some will purify the defilements or others let the propensity continue with the self. So the rain of the Dharma continues to fall regardless of how receptive or unreceptive sentient beings are. Sentient beings are. So this is talking about the enlightened beings disregard. They don't mind if some sentient beings do not respond to it, but they do not think, "Oh, I'm not going to benefit these sentient beings." They know that somehow or one way or another they will be affected, benefited by the Dharma, and the great compassion and great wisdom, and those people who have lots of defilements, their teaching will definitely purify the defilements. Purify the defilements of those who have faith in the teachings, and even those people whose defilements are hidden and who are actually aversive to the Dharma, but in the long run they too will be affected somehow. They have so much confidence in the Dharma's overall benefit to all sentient beings, and they will not look for immediate positive responses because all the sentient beings say yes and applaud. Others may completely turn a blind eye or show aversion to, but still Buddha Dharma is constantly reigning, and somehow indirectly they are soaked by the rain of Dharma. They're soaked by the rain of Dharma, and then benefit sentient beings. So this now goes to the next fourth point, which is how it pacifies the sufferings. So this has three subdivisions, as we have three verses left. Teaches the Four Noble Truths. First is it Dharma, the the Uttaratantra Shastra. Uttaratantra Shastra is actually is crystallizing the teachings of the Four Noble Truths, and then the second is it makes the people to realize the Four Noble Truths, and then third is how, as a result of realization, how they are set on the path to adopt the bad and adopt the good and drop the bad. So the verse number 329 is the first one, which is teaching the Four Noble Truths. In the beginningless samsara of birth and death, there are 5 pathways to sentient beings. So this is talking about samsara, where sentient beings, since beginner's lifetime up till now, all are born and dying, and they're continuously falling into one of the 5 realms. So 5 realms, 5 pathways refers to five realms, because people have to choose different paths to go into the different realms. We have chosen a path to be born as a human being, and so when they refer to the 5 pathways, they refer to the 6 realms, counting the demigods and God as one. Okay, because demigod is only semi because of their attitude. Otherwise, they are also God. So therefore, they usually count them 2 as one, and human beings as a second. Hungry ghosts, animals, hell beings. So it's talking about those sentient beings. And just as there is no nice smell in excrement, I think I believe that, there's only discontentment. Have you heard this quotation? Often the teaching says that just as human excrement is not has no good smell, likewise, entire samsara from the summit to the bottom of hell, there's not a single place that is satisfactory. They're all unsatisfactory. So if you hear about unsatisfactoriness, someone disappointed with you, angry with you, you just wouldn't be disappointed, because I know that's a shit too. They say samsara stinks. Samsara stinks. So don't ask each other, how are you? Come on, how are you talking about? How many times you have to ask the smell of the shit, Maybe babies puddles a little bit okay. Some mothers are just lovely. They use the bare hand to clean the baby's bottle. babies poos a little bit all right, maybe, but still they are poos. They are awesome. They all smell, Just as there's no nice smelling, there's only discontentment among the 5 beings. The 5 beings refers to all the beings born in the samsara, from devas to the human beings. So we shouldn't be disappointed with sentient human beings have karma and affliction. It's ridiculously un-Buddhist to say, oh, he's like that, oh, he's like that, oh, he's that. Why not? He's got lots of karma you haven't even know. That's just the surface of it. You think the shit is only smelling on the surface, Shit is more smelly in the bottom. Surface is a little bit dry. Maybe you don't smell. So don't get disappointed next time when you see problems in sentient beings. Even if somebody complains, talks about someone, you shouldn't be disappointed. That's the nature of samsara. Nature of samsara. So this is, and their sufferings are like the unceasing pain from burns, wounds, chemical scalds, and so on. So now Asanga is talking about that how the sufferings of sentient beings, 3 types of suffering. Yeah, suffering of suffering. Suffering of suffering is like is incessant suffering. There's no break. It's incessant pain from burns or leprosy or you have a surgery, and then you have a surgery, then you want to and then you have to do chemotherapy, and then it's got just as many as a side effect. All this you couldn't win, You couldn't win. The suffering of suffering, and whether it's a burns, whether it's the kind of whatever kind of injuries you have, or by using some kind of treatment like moxibustion or whatever, or some cauterization, or all those things like this, talking about chemical wounds. Chemical skull means people use various things. Some people use all kinds of stones and chemicals and precious stones and various things in the kind of primitive medicine. Clouds of compassion cause a mighty rain of true Dharma to soothe and pacify them. Yeah. The reason the Buddha Dharma is taught by the tireless, incessant, spontaneous mind of the Buddha, which is constantly meditating in the state of compassion. There's never a moment the Buddha is not in compassionate meditation. It's not just on Wednesdays he practiced compassion, on Saturdays he put the feet up in the fireplace, and on Mondays he goes to the local pub. It's not like that. Buddhas are always practicing compassion because sentient beings are not only suffering from suffering, but suffering of change, but more worse, suffering of all pervasive conditioning of I and me and mine. So the clouds of compassion cause the mighty rain of Dharma. These kind of teachings of Dharma is all Buddha activities. It's not some kind of a society organizing. It looks like society organizing, but it is actually Buddha activity. Buddha activity. We must believe in that. Then at least you have this impersonal devotion to the Buddha. Otherwise, they say, I love this group, I love that group. All the people are groupies, choosing groupies. They should just totally be believed that this is the incessant, spontaneous activity of enlightened mind that is causing this Dharma, and it is coming through certain devices, situation, because of the ripeness of our own merit, because we are aspiring with lucid faith to, then our sufferings are purified, then our sufferings are pacified by the rain. Then you realize, the next verse is about how you realize the Four Noble Truths. Having understood the miseries of gods, fearing death. Now this is fearing death and transmigration. Yeah, the beings in the God realm actually believe that they are in heaven and they are therefore eternal. And they believe that. And they haven't been told that, by the way, it's temporary. They were told it's permanent. And when they come to realize, they're starting to experience some signs of their individual gods. Time's up. They start to feel they can then smell some body smell. Previously, they never had body smell. Body never produced sweat, or body never produced even excrement and anything, because these are celestial gods. They don't eat gross food, so they don't produce any waste, But when their lifetime has elapsed, then they're starting to feel their body developing some sweat and smell, and then all the beautiful flowers and ornaments they wear all dry, and it looks like every other gods are avoiding you. And then they say, what's going wrong with me? Everybody's ignoring. I'm starting to smell, and all this sign of old age, sign of old age in the human rebirth. The gods started to experience sign of death, imminent death coming, and then they have contaminated clairvoyance. Where they will be reborn. They thought they were in eternal heaven, but then they realized they have exhausted all their merit by indulging in this realm, thinking it's a perfect and permanent, when they have always wasted, and then they lose faith in laws of karma, and then as a result of that, then they waste all of their merit, and then they have no choice but to fall. Then they not only fear dying, but they know where they will be reborn as a consequences. So the miseries of gods fearing, and I would say knowing death and transmigration, and humans having to constantly search for. This is talking about suffering of human beings. Human beings have so many sufferings: old age, sickness, death, losing what you have, not getting what you want, or first you don't meet somebody. Secondly, if you meet someone, you part quickly, and if you are together, you can't be together. If you're away, you're longing. When you're together, you're not getting on. All these sufferings, and and if you don't have wealth, you have no wealth. If you have wealth, then you have another problem. so there's no end of suffering. Human beings, humans having to constantly search for. Those endowed with wisdom have no longing for even the sovereignty of gods and human beings. That's right. People who have some things in this life, they are wrongly guided, if you like. They don't want to go beyond the samsara of humans and gods. They become more attached to that. But this is because through wisdom they have seen, follow, and trust the Tathagata excellent teachings. So now those people who understand the reign of the Four Noble Truths will then realize the Four Noble Truths. The truth of suffering. The truth of suffering means that life is suffering, and it's not just yours. It's a universal. It's the nature of life. This is suffering, and this is the cause. Then you know the cause. Cause is karma and afflictions and self-grasping. And then you see, if you snub the real cause of true origin of suffering, then there is cessation. And to do that, you will follow the path. If you follow the path, then you will be able to realize the Four Noble Truths. So this is talking about the result of showering the Four Noble Truths to pacify. So what is the pacifier of the sorrows of sentient beings? Themselves understanding the Four Noble Truths. Yeah? Themselves understanding the Four Noble Truths. It's not the Buddha's holy hand washes it, or some holy great master gives you something and then your suffering disappears. It's not like that. There's no such kind of a promise. So it is one's realization of the Dharma, Four Noble Truths, particularly. One's realization of Four Noble Truths. First noble truth is the truth of suffering. That's the kind of realizing the nature of the suffering. Truth of suffering, truth of origin, truth of cessation, truth of the path. Those are for nature. Then the function is you have to understand the suffering, that it is universal, yet it is impermanent. It's nature of every sentient being, not just yours. Then you will have a little bit of humility to accept when you understand suffering as the nature of existence, and then you understand because you don't reject. Then you accept the suffering as a part and parcel of life, and so you can't have a life without suffering. And a life means suffering. And next time, don't get one. If you don't like it, don't get one. That's the whole idea. And so you have to if you don't want another life, then so try to understand true origin of suffering. True origin of suffering is karma, affliction, and self-grasping. And when you understand true origin, then you now need to stop it. It's called truth of cessation. You have to cause a stoppage. To stop that, you have to follow the path. The path is you have to do it. It's not believing blindly and mumbling some mantras, and then some Buddha will appear in your dream in rain or something like that. It's not those kind of esoteric experiences may come as a augment, as a kind of attribute to your faith, but real cessation comes when you realize how to get rid of grasping and self-centeredness. So not only believing academically, but actually doing it, actually learning to do it ourselves. Because then one trusts the teachings of the Buddha. One has seeing the teachings excellent teaching. The Dharma of Buddha is so good that even when you listen to ordinary people, ordinary people talking about Dharma makes it worthy of your time. Not because he or she is expert in that, because only Buddha is expert in the Dharma. Only Buddha is the master of the Dharma. Others are simply enchanted by his blessed life, blessed teachings. And if they're making some sense, it's because of the Dharmakaya mind of the Buddha that is coming through this. So because of that, you know actually how to attribute your devotion to the enlightened mind of the Buddha. So not is about worshipping people, not about worshipping status, not worshipping about people's fame and reputation. This is not Dharma. This is people worshipping. So there's a lot of danger these days. People idealize human beings as enlightened ones. Enlightened beings so rare. They're not as numerous as human teachers. Thank goodness. If they were, it would be good, you know. No, unfortunately, the rare is more precious because it's rare. If rare are plentiful, then they're plentiful. Then it's not rare anymore. Then the name Triratna doesn't constitute. Word Ratna does, precious doesn't constitute because it's too plentiful. So ordinary people with the names and status and titles, they are also practitioners like us, maybe slightly senior in knowledge and training and culture, but that's about it. Otherwise, don't idealize them to save you, to inspire you. This is not Buddhism. This is Lamaism. And we are not interested to teach that. I don't know who teaches them. Even if you have Lama that you really rely on, he should always be visualized as the Buddha. He should be visualized as the Amitabha or Vajrapani or Vajradhara, never as the very particular person. You know, that is making idols of the Lamas. That is what makes Lamaism. Then the idol of Lama is blocking the Buddha image. Idol of the lineage guru is so big, and Shakyamuni Buddha is almost relegated in the back. That's what most of the old Tibetan monasteries like that. Huge statues of the so-called the founding Lama of the lineage, and the Shakyamuni Buddha is relegated in the back, you know. We have to do exactly reverse that. We have to bring the Buddha. And that's exactly this text, Asanga's text is highlighting the enlightened qualities and his activities. Even the human teachers who have some recognition and some status, it's because of the Buddha's infinite enlightened activities and qualities that they have some little benefit to themselves and also indirectly to others, because they themselves are aspiring and they are actually rejoicing the rainfall. They're not aversive to the rainfall. They're not avoiding the rainfall. Mm-hmm. Just as now this is a amazing famous verse. This is famous verse about the Four Noble Truths. You should, in Tibetan, people memorize this verse. Just as the disease should be diagnosed, its cause should be eliminate cause, restore health, and implement its remedy. So also suffering, its causes, its cessation, and the path also to be known, eliminated, restored, and implemented. So this is the most beautiful verse. In Tibetan, nene heja, negi gyune bangjade, dene tobja, mene temperachas. Donga heja, gyune bangjala, tengo pade regba lamne temperachas. So this verse number 331 is often quoted, It's such a succinct verse, because it not only, this verse is short, but it does, what it shows is it shows the nature of the Four Noble Truths, which it listed all the names, and function of which, what is the function? The first Noble Truth is to be known. That's the function. If you really, the second noble truth is to be eliminated. That's what you have to do. And third noble truth is the cessation. That is restoring your health. Yeah, restoring your health. And to restore your health, what you have to do? You have to implement the path. See, it lists the function of the Four Noble Truths. It introduces what is diagnosed, and its remedy, and restores health, and so on. So it captures the first Noble Truth, 12 utterances. All the 12 utterances that Buddha gave on the 16 aspects of the Four Noble Truths are all captured in this verse. So that concludes the third analogy, everyone. So I will now read a little bit of the root text to you as part of the oral transmission of this text, which we started a few pages already. If I can find the way we stopped. Yeah. Oh, Namaya like it, and the Nijing, Dragondana, Megan, and the Androgan, Yedana, Tamje, Gudu, Dagi, Dendo, Chazo Jamagu, and the Nina Korange, Bulazo by Pegudagi, and that. Chendidagi Jinanda, Rajalombalundana, Richidan Jidan, Nidani Yamadani, Chidarpemandam Yed, and Dujuna Yagada, Chinaga, Menio, the Jagawa Dijano, Chidasoja Dramani, Shindu Trude, Dongda, Tijidan Kevana, Nila Donga Gebraja, Chidan Jazoning Bone, Chida Chiropumbe Bada, Tijing Botondowa, Marigong, Bujed, Chidra Mezan, Mindumba, Tijin Chatan Jenam Yen, Doba Dembe Yunja, Kunedawa Mezan, Mezandra, Chidranon. Debena Michi Mihidem Dobada, the Yingela Ranjuni, Marie Baja Sai, Chitrasa, Chitra News or Rimged, Savajumba Java, the Yin, the Hitini Tomway, Tombanam and Dobrin, Pabelam and Javala, Jizo, Jizoning Bojan, Gomla, Jebanjana, Guru Dadan Sumbra, Sadulan, and then Sadula de Germane, Ngabu Jamata, Ngabu, Tanda Medobe, Yenabra, Mimba, Sasum Jende, Germana, Sadam Question. Dani Chembo Dorje, the Dingin Zinji Shumja, Tedaran Chazo, Chamagu, Pemalazo, Dadanza, Ranjisumji, Ranjisumji, Dujiran, Sanje Shodan, Chonzon, the Ranjin Chugoda, the Yin Shugo, the Dene, Pesum Jidan, Angama, Anamjin, Shebraja, Chugunam Yesha, the Chuyin Shindu Chemeda, the Yundu Zabada, Nazo Sujidoma, Jigden, Dijana, De la Bene Medaba, the Yenshik Banyaganda, and Rawan Yudu. By Chamosud, Chamosamosudan, Janzero Jigbanen, Namba Nazo Duden, Nazo Buni Shinja, Yura Mebada, Geda, Number Tabeje, Tiji, Ninde Sergiada, Sudan Sumbra Jabayan, Dedanju, Shinja, Rida Namjesha, the Tomeranji, Nebada, and Alama Chonya, Rindenila Sanji, Guzon Brando by Tambokun. Tangbo de Nibayin, Chimani, Ngowani Kun Zabane, Renjengunda Shija, the Ranjigin, Jejeme. Yonder Ranger, the Ranger, Chujin, Gender, Zozan Colonji, Sujinda, Ranger, Druva Sudava, Ranjanam Yedana, Tepanam Yedoja, Nimaking Umbrawa, Mimenam Yetomba, De La Saja Jame, Jabrajawa, Junseme, Yanda Nila, Yanda Ton, and Nambado, Namie Jebe, Sinyejo, Lower Target, Kondonge, Namie Maybe Sinyeja, Lame Chuye, Lame Chuye, Domai, Jinda Melam, da melan juhin tedan de xija tamje namgo dongba xe songne yang de janam semje la sanje ningbo jin ji de song semje semje memba mela nyeba da yang da minze yang da chu la go da ja lan de yong ba nan de yo ba de da de ban don do so yang da tan ne de je ye namba tamje wen ba de nyomo le ne na min de din la so ba xin do ju nyomo de so tra ba ye le ne na me le ne melan long je yin nyomo le je na bra mi pong bo ju ma ji wa xin nga ne den da na ja be la ya la me jin de nye ba nga da bang je ro kam yo ni ji dan ba yin de de din ye ma do ba da la nye be nye ba ye sim ne shun bang ga ji le chang ju sen ne ge men ju kan la chang ju Seme gave down a Georgia Lumbena, Chanju Sema gave la, Memben to Europe, don't you to the Semba Delane, Yanda Shiva Migi, Tena Yanda Minzenja, Yanda Tone, remain you, Choma Lubro, and Yeja, Simjan Yandam, Yanda need the Dame by Yondera, Hidaba, Taba in Randa, Mimben Yinzenja, Yanda, Yonda Kurundaba, London, Dada Semjela, Tsundo, Chamba Domenju, and the Tene Tobala, Jordan Domba Jingonju, Shirai, Jamjan, Chonga Yeja, Kanama Menzonda, Jimmy Yundan Daba, Dada Simjan Zongjambe, Semi again, and you know, the Tikbachimbo, Yulame, Dunju, Gonjo Giri, number a year, Tijin Shikbe, Ningbo Demba, Gabda, Tangbo, Dada Ravara, Jinja, Dedan Zadan Danye Jamba, Teane, Chizu Dajanian, or Judan Juda, Kamda, Leland Demba, Namjanja, Tazam Jemejani, Sanjesan, Nabraja, Raja, Kain Yidan Kajan Lobrigi, and Yomashi Jejans or Doba, Jeba, Yen, Juba, Jimmy Sanji, and then going to Dada, Yondo Sanjay, Tenachula, Medonam J. Dala, then Sanji, Yerme Bas, Tabi Chujira, Nima Kaji, Yedan, Bambani, Zinyad, Uzajime, Yerme Ba, Jujan Gangalungan, and Dulan de Sanjay, Chunam Gundan, Dembanye, Ranji. Ranjin Madodan, Caba Lorinidan, Yomoshi Jibada, Jindan Java Juba, Jibanidan Java, Juni, Jinimede, Medoban, de Jitobden, Ishin, Jimmy Bemeke, Soyada, Drajan Kanan, Bavandawanya, Dawodan, Jinzonia Montala, Javanima, Dawon, Jimmy Yunde, Danger was another Dinya, the Tuba Jojo, Janzing Boje, Ranger Sedan, Ranger Sedan, Dedan Jumbaje, Jimmy Ranger, the Jikodan, Sada Segi. Chuzo Sojan Dojazo, Lover Yomoda Bane, Donna Medo, Iji, Ruin Barab Donja, number Gunji, John Debe, Sanje Gunanga Doba, Tenengela, Tenegela, Toba, Yindu Toba, Dojan Duna Banjada, Dujain, Bamala, something shouldn't Bejeba, Chuda Zinda Zumani, Chedan Jajan Ladova, Ninja Chimbo, Rova Kepsi, Rova Kepe, Chidan, Chimenda, Nyawa, Demo. Jinla and over Yuzia, Mombasa, Sanjania, then a Gemini match, Minyan Bechuja, Tamjora, Jenzada, Shumbatan, Taja, the Jitan Boja, Taja, Yundezenaji, Uva Seva, Jeda, Namdondri of Jimeda, Sedan, Dedan Jambaja, Rejection Gojeda, Kanya Dabo, Jordan, Rizukian and Beja, Tender and Janja, Sabam, Meja, Jimeja, then she had Dabo Pomene, the Yishiba, Kanya Daba. Wangbo Junan Yamson Yumaju, Jume Sudan Datan Tamsan, Zamanian, Deji Zurenje, Chizananda, Pajan Tamjoro, Yanda Dingzi, Ridenium Yoda, Ranging Oniji Sabeto, Tabi Junju Shimoda, Sambena, Tondam Denze, Yishibane, Namgashin Junze Namdanda, Dona Ishi, Dona Ishi Boy, Lesun Dine, Shija, Trevakun, Zobata, Chijikun, Namdo Chuji, Namjo Chuji, Godan, Namda Ishi. The Saba may be Yavaja, Dumachi, Neme, Numonam Bajada, Chebanga, Same, the Chame, Toba, Mebeje, Shikabani, Dendo Jigba, Meba, Ranjin, Jindumaji, Jimmy, Demba, Dezonam Jete, Jigbanam Shisha, Dezodale, Dejero, Nyanda. Nyada nam Jaba, Sami Jaba Pova, the Temechena, the Dada Pome, Javaja, Jimmy the Gavoy, Chuya, Amena, Stajimin, Amgane, Zondova, the Dadane, Jetaroda, Janane, Tulazo, Sobe Yuga, Tulazo Beji, and the Jinguin, Jimebe, Javet, and Belwandania, Sabami Bay, and then the Java in Juan. Same Daden Shiva Yunjunye, Rabdu Shija, Doja Namgashi, Chame Gundo Tome Zuraja, Dazo Medege, Sanje Jimame, Namro Chuji Godage, Randa Shinje Dundebe, Ranshe Dundela, Same Jaba Yundende, Yamje, Sanje Shisumye, Ishiluja Namye, Same Jaba Dobraja, Saja Yumende, Tundain Samje, Chuninja, Sajinji Dembe, Gombalazo Yumaye, Kanji Sula Mulanje, Chibe Don Domaye, Zebe Yuna Pujonda, Nime Sujan Papa, Nime Sujan Papa, Jedan Raja Namde, Gamejan, Dembaye, Nimeje de Shivani, Yundu Juni, Nijero, Ramden Gobe Dembeje, Tamje Dobe Javani, Neba Major Dome, Numomboje Jabame, Sheje Drigun Tabaye, Tamje Dun Dobame, Nime Lesorung, Rumeje, Zuberi, Javayin, Tezu Meje, Damede, Zama Major Zodome, Gavara Yadabeji, Jima Mema, Jima Banjero. Okay, thank you. So we're going to take a couple of minutes if you have any questions. Otherwise, of course, we're going to dedicate very shortly.
No?
Yes, please.
I find it helpful when you're doing the oral transmission to follow the verses, but I've got no idea where you're up to now.
Oh, we just finished first chapter. We just finished first chapter and maybe 40 verses of the second chapter. Yeah, next we can. Yeah, I can tell you next time.
Thank you. That's helpful as I just drift away at this hour of the night. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rinpoche, I had a question. It was from last week. It was verse 316. I was just a little bit confused because it was under the heading Holy Speeches Superior to Celestial Symbols.
Yeah.
And Buddha's voice was like a drum. But with 316, it was saying that the great sound of the divine drum cannot reach the ears of earthly beings. So I was thinking, could it actually be the celestial symbols, because their celestial can't reach earthly beings, and the divine drum is the sound of Buddha's speech, and the sound of Buddha's speech.
Yeah. Yeah, the divine, the great sound of the divine drum is only heard in the divine realms, but not even heard by us on the earthly beings. Yeah, yeah. So it's only heard in the Deva realms, in the desire realms themselves, but it doesn't reach to us. But the sound of the Buddha's speech is heard even by beings in the subterranean beings. So this means that when the Buddha gave the teachings in Sarnath or Varanasi or Vulture's Peak or wherever he taught, his teaching is heard and reverberate to all realms of existence. And sentient beings, even in the Naga realms, they hear the Buddha's teachings. Even devas, who are usually very indulging in their pleasures in the divine realm, they descend on the earthly realms, like the Brahma and Indra and all the gods were always very, very important people. Very, very, I would say, VI gods, very important gods. they always took the front row. And Brahman Indra is always showing up. In the Indian murals, they always show the Brahman Indra always attending the Buddha's teachings, and they always want to be seen as they're very important. So they can't really keep away from the Buddha because they just, they couldn't live in any way with the Buddha's teaching. They will all show up. So what it's saying is that the sound of the Dharma is so relevant and so penetrating, it reaches everywhere, no matter where they are. Unlike that divine drum, which is only heard by people in the God realms. So these analogies are actually talking about the how different the Buddha's speech, enlightened speech is. That it said that even if the people were to read the true Dharma, even the most skeptics would get it. Only if they read it. Only if they read it. But most of the time, they're really poorly translated, like these translations are, and are not quite well articulated, and particularly very difficult to translate because these verses are very, very, very dense, and it's very difficult to decode. If you don't have those commentaries, it's really difficult sometimes to know, like. Some of the verses are very simple when I look into it. Others are really complex. If you don't have the commentary, you don't know what they're talking about. So that's why but when people with faith and devotion, they listen and read through this, they'll get something. Even they're like the subterranean people. They are the subterranean beings. They'll still get it. We are in Australia is a subterranean, isn't it? It's underground. Down under they call it. We are down under sentient beings. We can hear the Dharma so loud and clear. Thank you. So with this we'll now conclude, everyone. We do the dedication merits, and we can dedicate our merits, I suppose, to all sentient beings, particularly Her Majesty the Queen that everybody is bidding farewell. I'm sure she has earned a very good place. I don't think her life is so good, and she was so loved, and such a long life, and such a meritorious life, and lived through 16 prime ministers. Can you imagine? And she always had the adulation and respect of everyone, and an enviable life, really. But she must have so much merit to be the head of Church of England, and the church are very, very admirable. When I look at those churches and their motto and their purpose, they're really, really Dharma. I can't see, anything but Dharma there. Their service of the others, kindness and compassion, charity, and these are all 6 paramitas. And I think she lived very noble examples, and she's a real queen in a white Tara, so long life. So let's rejoice her contribution that most people can identify, and because she definitely seemed to bring so much hope and joy in the respectable life, how one lives in order to be of good model to the world. Most people don't have the merit to become in that position, however skillful they want to be. We pray to be born in higher realms and good families and so on. I'm not saying here to examine, because they're all still in samsara, remember? Still samsara. Still samsara. But within samsara, she was a fortunate one. Fortunate one. Okay, so may her consciousness, of course, be be lifted wherever, body might be resting in peace, but her spirit must rise up and go to somewhere better than this world she has departed from, because all those castles are really very, very potential cause of attracting the consciousness come back. I don't think she should do that. So the prayers are so that she will bid farewell to the wherever her belief, one with God, I suppose, in the Christian, the heaven. I don't know. Are we going to send to one of the desire realms? So what's the point of sending to desire realm? Because she had all the desirable things in her life. So I don't think even heaven would give her that much. So anyway, so with this and all other people who have died, who may have died as an old lady, but doesn't have anyone to rejoice like her, she has, but she has the whole world. So it's really admirable. Every mother should and grandmother deserves to be remembered as much as she is. What do you think? So let's do that. Om Bade Mere Meve Hoga Dadeva Medzage Hamneze Mehale Bere Obirande Ojana Badare Zenede Herenda Mahayana Dije Vajra Mereda me obe begas de lavaza troda Mahayana dije courage manje jenode asama trabadra de la following all the zambo ajade de de mere mede excellent body jeda reba vera no yada where has been bombarding freely without generation. Thank you, everyone. Okay.